Hey everyone, this is Nick from Mecha Warehouse, and today I'm back with weekly update number 34. So as usual, let's start right in with week in review. This is the section of the video where I talk about what happened this week, some of the things that went on, and things that are coming up. And I guess I'll start off with last week I talked about being really busy myself, and that's still true. I think this week was a little bit better. I think I had a few less things on my plate, and things got a little bit better. Hopefully that will continue to get better as, I don't know, as time goes on and I figure things out. But the realization this week so far has been that my wife, Kate, who helps me with a lot of stuff in the back end, she does a lot of the administrative stuff, a lot of paperwork type stuff. She handles filling out claims that I'm sending to UPS. She handles all of our kind of tracking of our inventory orders and inventory and all that kind of stuff. And it became quite apparent this week that she is working a lot of hours herself. I'm recording this Thursday morning. The first 3 days of this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, she probably did like 20 hours or something, which when we started, the idea was that she was going to do a few hours a day, maybe for me, a few hours a week. And with all the orders that we've been placing, all the inventory coming in, she's been doing a lot more than she was before. So we're actually in a place where we're starting to think about what's the next step for maybe hiring somebody or trying to get a virtual assistant or something to try to offload some of the stuff that she does that perhaps doesn't require her, because she's really good at the details. She gets everything right. There's a lot of stuff like pulling pictures down and copying descriptions and data collection kind of stuff that really probably doesn't require her and could be done by somebody else and free her up to do either more complex or more specific things that require her specific attention, or just let her, spend time with our kids, which might be good. So we're starting to think about that. We'll probably talk about that again in a future video when I figure out what we need and how we're going to figure out how to hire somebody and all that kind of stuff. But this is just really interesting discussion we've been having this week. So the one other interesting thing, everybody's been asking about the MG Eclipse. It's been a very popular item since they announced it. Everybody's been wanting to get pre-orders for it. And we did get some available as pre-orders, and like the PG Unleashed, the number that we were able to get was pre-allocated by Bluefin, which means that they know the demand is going to far outstrip supply, and so basically they look at what every shop did for business over whatever that time period is and determined, what each shop got. So this is good in that we're guaranteed to get a fixed number. What's bad is I know that on the Discord alone, we got probably only about half of what the people that were interested in were placing a pre-order. Half as many as the number that we needed to handle the pre-orders, and so we did it as a lottery on the Discord, just like we did the PG Unleashed. I would not be surprised if you placed a pre-order for that kit somewhere else, knowing how some shops like to open their pre-orders well before they have a confirmation of how many they've got in, that you either will not get it for a long time, it will not actually come during the pre-order period or on that initial shipment, or maybe your order will be canceled. I guess we'll find out. The quantities were a lot more than PG Unleashed, so maybe the other shops aren't in as much trouble as I think, but it'll be interesting to see if what happens with that for people. So all ours are basically spoken for, but we will probably open pre-orders for them again once we get that first reproductions order, just to give people a chance to lock theirs in, knowing how popular of a kit that's going to be. The other kind of big thing coming is this week we're starting to plan, and the goal is to have already had this conversation and have this stuff kind of figured out, but I've already got kind of plans in motion to try to figure out how to start doing a second video a week on the channel here. We will likely be starting that, I don't know, maybe in July, Give us a couple weeks to kind of get geared up and get the pipeline going, because some of that content's going to require a little bit more work than just sitting in front of a camera for 20 minutes and then editing it. So that will hopefully be coming soon. I'm really excited. I've already got ideas for the first 4 to 8 or so pieces of content that will be up on the channel, and hopefully we'll be starting on that soon, and you'll be seeing it soon as well. And then the final thing that happened last week, we restocked Kotobukiya for basically the first time since 2019, I think. We didn't really buy any Kotobukiya last year. We now have it back in stock, and it did very well. I've actually placed another in-stock order for Kotobukiya. We'll be getting more stuff in. It seems like Frame Arms Girls, Megami Devices were both really popular. We've sold some frame arms and some of the other things. There's definitely some standouts that were more popular than others, so that'll help inform our decisions on what to buy going forward. So that's kind of cool. And we are also we put up last week our first set of pre-orders for Kotobukiya products, which we'll start doing going forward. And I'm excited to talk about some of that stuff coming up. So why don't we just transition right to that, and we can talk about pre-orders. So we've got pre-orders up. If you're not aware, the way we do pre-orders still is all manual. So if you want to pre-order something, you have to contact me directly. You can email me, nick@mechawarehouse.com. Even better yet, if you're on our Discord, we have a channel with all of our open pre-orders listed, so you can see what's available and all the detailed pricing. We'll try to put a list today down in the description, just because there's a lot of items, probably more than I'll actually be able to mention. But if you want the easiest time pre-ordering and just interacting with Mecha Warehouse in general, being a member of that Discord is great. You have to be a customer, of course, but the perks are definitely worth it, in my opinion. And I think the opinions of a lot of people who are there. So the most exciting thing about these pre-orders, I'd say like the number one most requested item that I hear about, it's in tons of Q&As, tons of comments. Everybody asks all the time, hey Nick, can you get Zoids? And now the answer is yes. We've got 2 Zoids available for pre-order, a third going to be available probably next week maybe. The 2 that we will be getting in are the Rev Raptor, and more excitingly is the Blade Liger. The Blade Liger. I know Ligers are probably the most popular Zoid from the Zoids franchise, so that one I expect to go a lot. Bringing in a bunch of them. We've definitely sold a bunch, probably more than anything else in terms of pre-orders so far, at least from the Kotobukiya stuff. So if you're interested in one of those, shoot me an email and we'll get you hooked up with that. We also, just to mention a few other items of note, there's a new Frame Arms Girl, at least I'm pretty sure it's new, the Shadow Fox, I think, something like that. And that pre-order, we were actually limited on how many we can get, so I'm pretty sure that one's going to be popular. We've sold a bunch of them. We only have a few pre-orders available left for those, so I wouldn't wait on that. NACCHIN tanks, the Knights of Sidonia, there's a Knights of Sidonia kit, and some Phantasy Star stuff, and those look really cool. There's some really cool designs. I'm not familiar with the source for most of that stuff, especially Knights of Sidonia and Phantasy Star, but the designs look really cool and kind of tempting just based on the design itself. And hopefully somewhere in here we posted pictures of all this stuff. So, like I said, if you're interested in a pre-order, send me a DM on the Discord, send me an email, nick@mechawarehouse.com, whatever way you want to get a hold of me. Hopefully at some point we'll have pre-orders available on the website. So restocks this week, not as much stuff as we've had the past few weeks, but some really good stuff, some really, really exciting stuff in the mix this time. So we'll start off first and foremost, Action Base number 5, clear and black. We haven't received Action Bases in a while. We haven't had Action Bases come in. Action Base 5 is a popular one. It's a very good Action Base, and so we've got plenty of them, but it might be a good chance to stock up. I'm not sure how long they'll last, and you pretty much always need an Action Base at some point, so it's worth having a few spares on hand if you've got a big backlog, especially in my opinion. We've also got this new Flame Toys kit. This is the Shattered Glass Drift. If you're not familiar with shattered glass, I'm not really either, but I think the idea was that it kind of re-envisions, you know, Autobots as Decepticons and vice versa, or at least Autobots as bad guys. It's got like a purple Autobot symbol on it. Cool looking kit. Drift was cool, so this one I imagine will be cool too. A really cool design. He's got a big sword. What's not to love? We also got another Star Wars kit in, just another X-Wing. This is the Resistance X-Wing in 172. Not much to talk about that. We also got a couple popular kits. Let me start with the. Let's start with this. So we got the Barbatos Lupus Rex high grade. IBO high grades sell, any IBO stuff really typically sells pretty fast. Last time we had these, they sold out really fast. So I would jump on them. We've got a good number, but some of the last IBO high grades we've gotten have just flown off the shelves like day of restock. We might last longer on these. Hopefully we'll last longer on these, but I can't guarantee that based on how demand seems to be outpacing how fast we're growing our orders. We also got the real grade crossbones. This is definitely one of the top popular real grade kits. It's a little small, there's really tiny pieces, but it is really popular. It's supposed to be a really good kit, and I know those will probably disappear pretty fast too, unless something has changed that I don't know about. Maganac we got last week. We got even more this week. As of this morning, we have maybe like 3 or 4 on the website. So those will be back in stock if they sold out, or in better stock. And I mean, you need at least one of these, probably 3. I've got 41 of them, so yeah, it's a good kit. We also got, for the first time, a Figurize Labo kit. These are basically like a non-articulating kit. It's more like a figure. I don't know if this will show up. The light's kind of bright. It's basically non-articulating, so it's more like a statue that you build. Our first time getting it, it'll be interesting to see if people want that kind of stuff. And finally, the most exciting restock is that PG Unleashed. So this is going to be our first time having it actually available on the website because it was so popular and we sold so many pre-orders to people. We had several batches of pre-orders. We had the November batch, we had an April batch. Now we've got stock available to actually offer on the website. I've only got, I think, 11 of them. I think I've got a few more coming, another batch coming sometime later this summer, hopefully, if I remember correctly. But these will not last long. If the PG Mark II were gone in the weekend, these will be gone Friday morning. I could be wrong, but these will be gone fast. So if you want one of these, I would pause the video right now, go look and see if it's still in stock, and if it is, grab it, because it's not going to be there later. So that's what we got for restocks this week. A little bit smaller set. We've got some more stuff coming next week, some exciting stuff coming next week that we'll talk about then. But that's what we got this week. So let's move on to Q&A. This is the part of the video where I answer questions from you, the viewers. If you have a question you would like answered, post it down in the comments below, and I'll do my best to include it in the questions I answer next week. So the first one, this is actually, I think, in response to me talking about space last time. Rizik Breaker says, thanks again for updating my order this afternoon. As for lack of space issues, how about adding another row of shelves? From your videos, it looks like you could fit a car in the space between your shelves. Check out Canadian Gundam videos at their warehouse. I think you adjust the space in between the rows behind you and add another row or two to give you more space. So this is a great question. It's a good suggestion, but what you don't see is the other row. So we intentionally made one row a lot smaller than the other, and so the row behind me is intentionally wider, so that one, if we get large shipments in, we can roll pallets down the middle of that row and not be completely shut down. If we were to receive, like, I don't know, 5-10 pallets at once, 4 or 5, we've been able to pack them down by the door. But if we had a lot more come in, which is hopefully going to be a thing at some point, we'll have space to put them. And 2, when we have a big event and we have people here in the warehouse, I want to be able to run folding tables down the middle of this row and have a space for people to like look at models and do things. On the other side, we don't have that much space. It could be tighter, but the unfortunate thing is that if we shaved a foot or two off the other side, we don't have enough space to add two more of the big shelves down the middle and create another full row. And so if we tried even doing one down that and create just one individual row and not two rows of shelves, it will be dense enough and the rows tight enough that it'd be really difficult to actually move up and down with a cart. We've got these 2-foot carts behind me here. That's what we basically use to pick our orders and stuff, and so that's a problem. What we intend to do though, and my short-term solution to some of the space, is actually getting a few more of these carts, and I'm going to run those down the middle of the aisle here, or perhaps skewed to one side, so we still have room to run a cart, and then we can just move them all to the other side when we want to have an event, or if we get kind of crowded in here for a day with a big shipment coming in. But thanks for the suggestion. It's unfortunate that our dimensions are just slightly skewed one way or the other. Hopefully we'll make it last, and then we can expand to a bigger space. Okay, next question. Space Noid Geek says, "Hey Nick, glad to see how the business is growing. Question: when do you think the website will be allowed us to create our own profile account, and rather than discount percentage, what do you think on apply a points reward program?" So I've talked about this before. We might do accounts at some point. I've been tentative about doing accounts primarily because of protecting personal information, especially credit card numbers, and not wanting to have those in a database somewhere. I suppose I could probably not do that, not record that information and still have accounts. I need to look into how accounts work with the website system that we have. I imagine there's a way to doing it. We could do rewards. We have a lot of discount codes out there. Doing rewards on top of discount codes, I'm not sure how that would work. I'd have to do the math. There's a lot of things that have to get figured out, and a lot of the great ideas I have or that people suggest, I just can't get to because I'm just trying to keep my head above water and keep this place operating efficiently. So at some point, maybe I can't give you any sort of timeline when we would do that or when I can even really look at it, because there's like 5 other things that are way more important events coming up that I want to have, marketing, content, things that need to happen, space issues, things that will just keep us running versus provide nice to add stuff, but we'll hopefully get there eventually. So next question, Shizu-san says, "Hey Nick, I was wondering if you will be restocking any Delpy decals, and is there any chance you will stock any Macross kits?" So Delpy decals I plan on ordering, I think, next week. My goal is to get into a rhythm of ordering about monthly, so we should have a monthly restock. So I think that's when it comes up again on my latest schedule for ordering. As far as Macross kits, I will when I see them. I think Bandai has some Macross kits that they make. I would love to get them. I haven't seen them printed since I've started, and maybe I'm looking in the wrong place. I'm sure there might be some other manufacturers that make Macross kits. I haven't seen them yet. But if I do, I will get them, because that, behind Zoids, that is probably the next most asked about item that we don't have. Okay, next question. Izzy Boy Fun Shop. Keep up the good work. Love your vids. Favorite part was 130. Had to check that out last week, I guess. More of that. Anyway, I just got my second kit from y'all, MG Jin. So excited. My question is, how did you get started selling kits? Why did you open Mecha Warehouse? This is a great question. I have answered this a lot of times. I'll answer it again, and I guess I need to look into that FAQ thing and maybe cutting this whole thing as a clip. So the short version of this is I got started because of some ups and downs with my consulting business. I wanted to find something that wasn't dependent on a few high-ticket clients to make my money from, and wanted a quote-unquote stupid simple business. This isn't as simple as I thought, but it's not complex like developing technology for a client, and it's something that you just can optimize by doing well, and it doesn't require a particular set of skills necessarily. And I started actually selling books on Amazon, reselling books on Amazon, buying books at low prices and selling them at high prices, all done on Amazon. Realized I hated it. It wasn't very good for me, at least. It was tedious. For a lot of work for the amount of money I was able to make from it. Wasn't very good at it. And I figured if I'm going to look up stuff to try to figure out buying it and then selling it, looking at Gunpla would be great, because I had recently gotten into the hobby myself. So that's kind of how I got started. I started selling it on Amazon, a little bit of eBay. Then I started selling on Instagram, and next thing you know, I started the website, and the rest is history, I guess. But I guess to really make sure I answer the question, the why behind I did it really comes down to I didn't like working for clients, and I wanted to do something that I enjoyed and that I would be able to wake up and want to do every day, because I was not feeling that way doing consulting. Let me tell you. Okay, I got one more question. This one actually comes from Instagram. It was randomly on a post that I did over the weekend, but I want to address it here. And Operation Stardust says, I have a question for you. Next weekly update has to do with getting interviewed by Gunpla YouTubers. Will there ever be a possibility of an interview with GTS or AO Mecha in the future? And the answer is probably. I am open to interviews, being guests on podcasts, any of that kind of stuff with almost anybody who asks. I've had a few people who have asked that I haven't gotten around to it, or for whatever reason, it seems like somebody dropped the ball in the communication. If that's you, please hit me up so we can make sure that happens. I'm actually going to be on a podcast Friday afternoon. I'll be sitting down with the Tekadon Syndicate, I think, to talk about, I don't know, whatever, Gunpla stuff, I guess. And I would be more than happy to sit down with GTS or AO Mecha or both. And so they just got to reach out to me, and I would be more than happy to do it. And this goes for anybody, big or small. If you're starting a podcast, starting a YouTube channel that interviews people, whatever, hit me up. I'm more than happy to talk to you about it. I don't really care if you're really big or really small, any of that kind of stuff. The only thing is that I do have limited time, and I will do my best to accommodate you when I can and try to fit things in. So that's all I got for questions this week. I feel like the recording of this at least was scattered, so if it doesn't look scattered, Santana did a great job making me look good. And thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next week. Later.